Hello, good morning. My name is Silvia Falcón León. I'm an English teacher in Preparatoria number 6. And today we're going to check zero conditional. If you remember last session, we talked about first conditional. Well, so let's start. Tell me, have you ever thought about your life in future? How do you think your life will be in 10 years? Can you imagine? Maybe if you work in an office, what situations repeat themselves? Or if you are a doctor, what do you always do if patient is sick? Have you ever think about it? Well, in order to connect those ideas to situations that are always true in the present or sometimes in the future, we're going to use zero conditional. For example, if I study hard, I get good grades. If I finish my reports on time, I go home early. Or if I exercise regularly, I stay healthy. But what is the zero conditional? We use the zero conditional to talk about things that are generally true, especially for laws and rules. So, for example, if I study hard, I get good grades. In this case, we have two clauses. The conditional clause or the if clause plus in this case, the conditional clause, this action hasn't happened yet. And then we have the result clause or the main clause. This clause will happen when the conditional takes place. It's very important to remember that for this zero conditional, when we start with the conditional clause, we need a comma to separate both sentences. So, in this case, if I finish my reports on time, I go home early. Over here in the conditional clause, the if clause, we're going to use our verb in simple present tense. Then the main clause or the result clause going to be also with present tense. Sometimes, and don't forget, we need a comma to separate both sentences. Sometimes we can start with the main clause. That is possible. In this case, could be I go home early, that is the main clause, if I finish my reports on time. We finish with the if clause. The thing that you have to take into account is that the meaning never changes. The meaning is the same in both ways, when we start with the if clause or when we start with the main clause. We can also use when instead of if. For example, when you eat too much food, you put on weight. Or when you finish your test, turn it over. In this case, we are using the zero conditional to give instructions. When you finish your test, turn it over. So let's practice a little bit. Let's see. Number 1, if you read in green, you brown. Number 2, water, if you eat to 100 degrees Celsius. And number 3, when you sugar, the sauce sweet. How can we answer those questions? Those sentences, sorry. Well, the number 1, if you mix, the verb must be in simple present. If you mix red and green, you get brown. That is the result. Second sentence, water boils. That is my result clause. If you heat it, to 100 degrees Celsius, okay? And the last one, number 3. When you add sugar, the sauce tastes sweet, okay? That is the result. In the 3 examples, we are using simple present to complete the sentences, because remember, the grammar structure that we are using is zero condition. Okay? So, as a summary, remember, zero conditional, we're going to use zero conditional when we talk about things that are generally true, that almost always happen. And we have to follow this structure. We can start with the if clause. For example, if I finish my report on time, I'll go home early. In the if clause or in the conditional clause, we're going to use simple present tense. And for the main clause or the result clause, we are using simple present as well. Okay, and don't forget, when we start with the if clause, we need a comma to separate both sentences. But also, we can start with the main clause or the result clause. For example, I go home early if I finish my report on time. Again, we need to use present simple in both sentences. But in this case, that is very important to remember, in this case, we don't need a comma to separate both sentences, okay? And that is very important to remember. So, this is zero conditional. Do you have any question or any doubts so far? If you have questions or doubts, you can check those references, or you can also send me an email. That is my email address, silvia_falcon@uaeh.edu.mx. And I'm an English teacher in high school number 6. Thank you very much for your attention.
Este video es presentado por el Sistema Ciencia Garza Educativa de la Universidad Autónoma del Estado de Hidalgo.